I promised you some hot League of Legends, and Lincoln Ascended, and also, yes, SKT, they have provided in a big way already. But I reckon we got one more banger left in us. We have got Bristol Whipped up against DMUT1, two top of the table teams, 6-0, 5-1 respectively, battling it out to be some of the top seeds in the knockout stage.
And in terms of us prepping for all the narratives and stats and players and games coming into this is the match I've probably been the most excited for because, of course, we cast the finals last spring back in 2020 when Bristol Whip took down Brunel Phantoms and went towards UEM, became the UK University Scene champions. DMU, they beat Cabbage Family in the winter split just gone, so they've shown like their recency of form has been very strong coming in off that 5-game series, which was incredible to watch. We've got now our current UEM representatives in DMU going up against our former ones in Bristol Whip who are undefeated. This is a clash of the Newell Titans.
And of course, with things changing a little bit for UEM this year, there's the opportunity for both of these teams potentially to have that opportunity representing the UK, something I personally would absolutely love to see for them, or even for any of the other universities who do well in that knockout tournament. Straight into pick and ban's going to get right into the action, thick and fast, as it certainly was in the last game. Two support bans to start us off, with Thresh and Rel taken away from Nibble and Idol respectively.
Exactly. So one thing to know about Soxu and Didal on the bottom side of the map for DMUT1 is that they have the highest kill participation of 15. I think it's Didal at second and Soxu at third of any player in Varsity so far. They are just absolutely stomping at that area of the map. It shows where DMU want to put the pressure. On the other side, you look at Gadunik and you look at Effen, who are both players with UKLC experience, having that relevant competitive experience to bring to the university scene too. That's often where they end up putting their pressure, putting their attention, whereas it's more like Chentang and Benaxas getting a little bit more chilled out lanes for themselves in these draft phases.
Technically, you could argue that 5 out of the 6 bans are support champions. Of course, Senna and Seraphine have that flexibility, as does Karma. But Uda, of course, one, which is just going to immediately be taken away from Gadunico at the end of this ban phase. It's that point-and-click champion that's finding great success even in the newest patch, so no opportunity there. With all of this being done, we are still going to see the Kaiser lock-in for Blue 1. I know we had our conversations about that as an option last week. Feels even less excellent as a first pick now on the back of its recent nerfs, but you feel those nerfs haven't hit it too hard.
So Kaiser is very much about her single target Q damage, and that has been what's nerfed. You know, you get 10 less damage per missile, and then of course when you start amping things up and having your evolved Q as well, that means that when you fire out all these missiles, you do get much less of your assassination burst threat. Doesn't mean Kaiser isn't still good. Doesn't mean that Gale Force and your passive and everything else works well with you. On the other side, though, Soxu has played something like 4 games of the Tristana so far. Really been indexing towards that pick. Nothing's changed for them on that side of the rift.
Well, we are seeing the Tristana and Set locked in response. Set, of course, another champion with a huge amount of flex. We've seen it played at top and support, both in recent splits. Also, could technically be a jungler, though it's had a lot of its agency lost on that one since a few,
seen a bit, but not much.
A few patches ago, it took a bit of a nerf of jungle, so not seeing that one quite so often. Same can be said for the Wukong, which is now locked in for Bristol Whipped.
Okay, so blind pick Wukong. I would imagine they're just saying, all right, you picked the set, we're just going to play the Wukong. And actually, this is a bit of a throwback for us in particular, because last time we saw Evan playing the Wukong was when he pretty much top-diffed Spring Finals last year. And last time we saw them in spring, just those 2 weeks ago when we were last on stream, he played Aatrox and kind of top-diffed that game too. If he gets a good matchup on this Wukong, expect wonderful things out of this top laner, because this is maybe the hardest carry in Newell Varsity right now.
Going to be one more pick to come from DMUT1. They lock in this Morgana, it will certainly show their hand a little bit, but it looks like they want to make sure they have got exactly what they want to play into this Alistar that's been locked in for Nibble. He's the player everyone's talking about at the moment. Playing the Alistar this time round into the Tristana. There is obviously that opportunity for the rocket jump escape, but if you do tag the Tristana at the correct moment, you can completely prevent that.
And on the other side, it means that if you're going to jump in, you'd best make sure that combo is down, because Yeah, that Alistar is one of the strongest supports in the meta right now. With Rel being taken off the table, it does mean that really Nibble has the best of the remaining engaged tank supports down there. Morgana, though, does give you the Black Shield and the ability to catch out that melee support, and that's a very important thing on it. Another thing to talk about is that, so we said, okay, so Soxo and Didol, they're definitely where where the pressure of DMU and where the attention goes towards for that team. So then you think, okay, well, maybe if they get more gold, are they using that gold well? You know, I was talking about last game in terms of the solo lanes of ESSKT being very gold efficient. Soxo is the most gold efficient player in Varsity right now, and that is whilst he has the most gold put into him at 15 and the most kill participation at 15. He is much like the Uzi archetype, if you'd like to think about it that way, where you do just protect Mr. Uzi, you protect the president, but it doesn't matter if you're not really funneling gold elsewhere, because they're being very responsible with their gold, and they're putting out exactly the damage numbers they need to.
We'll come back to that ADC in a moment. With Heavy Dubstep and Gadunica being two players we talk about a lot, I honestly expected to see a lot of jungle bans coming through on second rotation. Instead, we saw 4 mid lane bans. Yone, Kassadin, Syndra, Orianna all taken off the table. Heavy Dubstep, as a result, picks up the grave for themselves.
Chentang is a Kassadin player, plays it with the Everfrost, and I believe Chentang actually, I was saying, Chentang and Venexos, they tend to have a chill early game. Chentang has the highest kills at 15 of any player in the Varsity, actually, with something like 2.75 at 15. In fact, when we saw them in their week 1 rec games, they picked up their Kassadin and picked up a lot of kills in the early game, which was pretty nice to see. Now, this is going to be another side lane scaling mage pick from the mid lane. It's going to be Ryze, who has been definitely going up towards priority in the last few patches.
I know it's not quite the same these days, and things have changed for Ryze over the years. So many different changes to the way the kit works. But when I think of Kassadin, when I look at Kassadin replacements, Ryze is one of the first champions that my mind goes to. So it certainly makes a lot of sense for Chentang.
The old Roger of Ages champions.
Gadunica is going to be locking in the Olaf for themselves. Now, I don't have to tell you what happened when we cast Gadunica's Olaf.
No,
Or do I? Do I need to tell you?
Why don't you tell the rest of us, Stan?
It was a panic.
There was a panic.
In case you didn't get that.
Well, see, this is exactly what Heavy Dubstep played, of course, back in Game 5 of the finals last split, and he also had huge amounts of damage on that pick too. So Heavy Dubstep versus Gadunica, I think the top side of the map is where things are probably the most even, I suppose. I think that bot lane for DMU is going to be getting... so Olaf is actually Hecarim. That's why we've actually got things heading through. So,
and
no more.
Do we know what the Nasus is, please, Patrick? Malzahar is the opposition mid laner to Ryze as well. So a couple of proxy picks. For those of you who aren't aware, we do have players who don't necessarily have every champion. We allow them to pick something that's not likely to be picked in the game and hold it, and then remake the lobby with everyone picking in the correct order, as long as you alert the captains and production. That's completely allowed.
And a million Nasus main. Well, I don't know. Are there a million Nasus mains? The number of Nasus mains there are out there, just a single tier goes down their face, and they go back to stacking queues on their own solo queue games.
Yeah, stacking tiers, stacking queues, no Nasus to be seen in the Null tonight. We have now got our completed lineups, and I'm not going to test my memory too hard on this one because it could only end well for a boomer like me. But we will be seeing an interesting matchup in the Ryze versus Malzahar mid. What do you make of that one?
So I look at that and I immediately look at the Hecarim and I think, oh, Malzahar's going to have a bit of an awkward time when it comes to the 2v2. In the 1v1, Malzahar can outpush a Ryze. He just has that auto wave push where he puts his EQW, gets his 2 minions kind of flying out of nowhere. Or actually, if you've stacked up 2 before, you can actually go WEQ and you get your stacks back for the next time you cast it. It's just a thing you can do. And even on cannon waves, Malzahar is happy to just press his buttons once he gets 2 and a bit items and just kind of run away, get free resets. That can be problematic for Ryze, who wants to be shoving up and doing pretty nasty things. Other thing is that, of course, you have to buy QSS versus the suppression of the gaze of the void. What? Nethergrasp. That's the one.
See if you could get it.
It's always a special moment when a color caster actually remembers an ability name. So I mean, Ryze is always going to be in range of Malzahar's abilities, let's be honest. So that means that you're going to have to wait until that QSS comes in to really start threatening that Malzahar. And you can blow them up eventually. Of course you can. Ryze does huge amounts of damage. But having the early lane push from the Malzahar, and then also having the ability to make sure that the Ryze isn't going permanent damage and has to stop him for a QSS, is very important from this matchup.
Okay, well, we'll keep our eyes peeled onto that one. It certainly sounds, from what you're saying, a lot like what we saw in our last game with the Ari versus Diana, both of them wanting to shove out, have the opportunity to roam. We didn't actually see a huge amount out of either
Understandably,
because they sort of cancelled each other out last time, right?
Understandably, I'm just a little less excited for this one. I don't know. Maybe it's something about the champions. Who knows? Maybe it's about I don't actually play.
Maybe it's the fact it's not going to be like a 100-kill game in 30 minutes.
Gosh,
that.
So, I mean, one of the fun things is that back when I was in Newell, so obviously I would have most of my mains banned away from me every game. So I was kind of just left there on Victor and Malzahar duty. So kind of seeing Malzahar back in the Newell, it was like, oh, Sam J, I know what it means to be a Malzahar player on these teams. Sometimes you just got to do it.
Can we just please, Twitch chat, can we just enjoy the moment where, as we all know, I am the giga-old one on these broadcasts, but this guy over here is the one who just went, back when I was in Newell. Yes, like...
When I was playing in 2017, I had to press R on the first person that dived into a team fight.
Grandpa Nightmare over there. So yeah, we've got these two team comps. I believe that predictions are now open, so start spending your Twitch points if you want to find out who Alex is going to say, and then vote for the opposite one so you guarantee the lock-in. This is where you're about to find out who you're going for.
So I think it's going to go to the side of Bristol Whips. I look at the Malzahar and the Graves and the Tristana, and there's only one Black Shield, and there's going to be a Cyclone, there's going to be an Alistair coming in and comboing, and then of course you got the Hecarim flying in with the Unstoppable Onslaught too, and I'm sat there thinking, there's no way you stay safe from all of them, and even one of them landing maybe ends your team fight.
A very, very good point. There you go. Vote for DMU T1 and get yourself free channel points. But all jokes aside, I kind of agree with you on this one. I think the Bristol Whip composition makes a lot of sense to me. They will have to play that Malzahar task should they want to not be caught out time and again by the suppression. However, we may end up seeing cleanses similar to what we saw out of the Jhin in the last game. We're going to bring you into the action on the Rift just as quick as we can. Obviously, having had that set of proxy picks and a little bit of delay, we just have to wait a few moments to get into the action. But I'm excited for it. I'm still hyped from what was a fantastic last game.
Exactly, and I mean, one of the big things about this game is that it probably will need to be more mentioned, because you look at the amount of follow-up you have from Bristol Whips and the amount of pick from out of vision again that we see again on the Rift today from DMU. Like, you need to be very aware of where people are on the map, right? And the thing is, if you do get caught out by the Nethergrass, not the Malefic Visions, well, yeah, that's the damaging part of it, sure, whatever. Like, you do need that QSS, it's a suppression. You can't just cleanse that away. You need to start inputting that gold onto people like your Kai'Sa, onto your Ryze. You don't have the Tahm Kench to bail you out in that same way, and that means that it can potentially mean that DMU are fighting with an item advantage when those damage items have had to be stopped off for QSSs instead.
I would like to take a moment, and I've seen a couple of comments in Twitch chat, and you're right, I do dunk on Nightmare occasionally, and he's kind of got used to it, but I did have a comment last week. Someone addressed me afterwards in private and said, kind of felt like you were a bit overly harsh on us. Do you actually really not like this guy? Do you think he's a bad caster? I want to make it abundantly clear. Yes. I do not in any way mean this as any kind of bullying or anything. I check with Alex on a fairly regular basis that, I haven't crossed the line. I do apologise if I ever do. I think he's a fantastic caster. It's a pleasure to get to work with you. Now, that's the one nice thing I'm going to say to you this split. Back to
the regular broadcast. Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
No, well, the only bullying we like to see in this stream is on stream, on game. Bully your lane opponents. That's what you should do.
You're allowed to do that.
Wise words.
Yeah, you are allowed to do that. Yeah, we're going to be getting into the action. I'm frankly surprised we're not there already, but I'm sure that the Magnificent Pants will take us there just as soon as things start up. As he shows me a little timer, so I know how long it is, even if you don't help there. Right, so Alex, we've got a whole minute to while away. Seen any good movies lately? Indiana Jones?
Oh gosh, yes. Well, see, the thing is, like, the last time I even thought about Indiana Jones was the last time I thought about his casting, actually, because it just seems to be that thing. I don't think about that movie at all until I think of you, Stan. This is the problem, right? I know this might be a roadblock we have to overcome in our friendship, or I'm just that I'm like, I need to get past this, like, the visions of Shia LaBeuf in a movie. Malefic visions of Shia LaBeuf being in movies that he honestly just shouldn't be in.
I'm with you on that one. I finally got around to watching Tenet the other day. Really enjoyed that. I have to say, I've seen real mixed reports for it online. People who love it, people who hate it. Seems to be a bit of a Marmite movie. I enjoyed it.
See, the thing is, I'm actually just like okay with Marmite. I don't really see what the fuss is. Like I feel like Marmite is one of those things where like surely there's something like a little more divisive than Marmite. But...
I generally do love Marmite. You know, a nice Marmite sandwich, great. However, I did make one of the biggest mistakes of my young sort of life as a child.
Play League of Legends.
This was before I made the mistake of picking up League of Legends. Basically, it was like so I never. For those of you who don't know, I never went to school. I was homeschooled, and my mum decided to do like a cooking lesson with me, which, judging on my current cooking, didn't work out too brilliantly, and it certainly didn't on that day either, because we had pizza bases. It was like a make your own pizza day, and I'm about 8 at this point. It was like, yeah, this is like the most amazing thing ever. I'm going to put cheese on it. I'm going to put the tomato base on it. And then, because I love cheese and Marmite sandwiches, I'm going to put Marmite on top of the cheese. Now, if you've ever smelt what Marmite smells like once it's been cooked, it is one of the most individually foul rank things I have ever smelt in my life. Truly awful. It haunts me to this day.
Well, I like how, you know, multifaceted and multidisciplinary we are in this cast. We're not just educating you about the UK university esports scene or League of Legends or anything relevant. We also tell you about pitfalls to avoid, like Morgana's throwing out bindings in the mid lane and apparently missing Rise there. Chentang going the sidestep.
He could have been able to pick up a little Spell Thief stat, but wasn't quite to be this time for Diadol. But I am really, really excited for how this matchup goes. As you say, this is our current champs against our former champs, our incoming UEM competitors against our most recent UEM competitors. So much storyline here. But at the end of the day, most importantly, this is a battle for the two teams who are really trying to push for first place going into the knockout stage.
And so something we've got to talk about is that Heavy Dubstack didn't play all of the games for DMU. And while they were definitely MVP of the entire university scene, let's be honest, across the multiple tournaments we have in winter, they went 1-2 in their first week, didn't play that second week, and now they're back for week 3. They need to show that they are still integrated with that team, still going to be picking up those results. On the Graves, very strong champion, has that carry potential, will have the opportunity to show it, but needs to show that the team is ready to bring them back into the lineup.
True. And meanwhile, on top lane, trying to once again show us the sort of performance on the Monkey General that can lead their team to victory. Zoxu, meanwhile, on this Tristana, something a little bit different to what we have seen in the past out of them, going up against the Kai'Sa, something we see so often in these games.
So one of the important things about this lane is that what happens right there? What happens if a bind ever hits Bernuxas? They probably die post level 2 when you can start jumping in. This is the point where actually Morgana can start running over this laning phase. And we already said that Diadol and Soxo on this bot side are the ones which get the pressure and the attention from DMU. They get themselves the gold, they get themselves the kills and assists of 15. They just tend to be the people that are the focus of this team. Now the question is, are Bristol Whips confident enough to leave Bernoxas and Nibble alone on this spot side of the map, or are they saying, actually, let's try and bail them out a little?
A good question. I guess we'll keep our eyes towards the junglers and whether or not they want to make these 3v2s or even 3v3s down bot side. Meanwhile, Chentang happily stacking up that tier early days.
Exactly, and one of the things about Rise is that at least you can instantly clear the Rise minions, right? The Malzahar minions, those ones, yeah, the little voidlings, because of the AUE abilities of Malefic Visions, and then you got the Q coming through and all the other stuff. But yeah, I mean, Rise able to keep, you can't really zone Rise away from farm. He always has ways to farm under turret too, so even though Sandra is going to have the priority, it's not really denying Rise that much.
I think I've seen it said that Rise is one of the 3 champions that most benefits from the changes to tier and to Archangels as it comes. Obviously, don't get that active shield anymore, but all the extra damage coming through and your max mana pool as well, something that Rise massively benefits on based on how the passive works out, of course.
Course. So I guess there's another thing which is happening in bot lane. We talked about, okay, Rise not really losing access to CS, not really being punished in that regard. Well, neither's Bernuxas on the bot side on this Kai'Sa. He's still got access to the farm, still ahead a couple, got the wave shoving in. And this might end up being a bit of a problem, because where are you actually getting your advantages then at the point then? Because Spirit is the person who's got the pressure against them. Already
flashing away, pushed back by the charge, finds the haymaker, gets the shield. Ifan trying to find the damage. First blood goes over to Ifan.
And Tail as old as time, well, at least as Bristol Whipped, as long as they've been in the league. It's them ganking top lane, it's them getting Evan ahead. The Wukong has a kill. That's bad news for DMU.
And there was a really crucial moment there as Gadunica just pulled back on the charge, which did mean that they were able to still find the knockback onto Spirit. Now using that exact same charge to get themselves out to safety as they get chased down by Spirit and Heavy Dubstep. Ifan teleports back up to the lane.
Teleports back up, and Spirit doesn't manage to catch out Gadunica, doesn't manage to get a counter jungle, just looking, so I guess kind of just leashes it for heavy dubstep, but nothing lost for the opportunity on top side for Gadunica, who's now going to recall, pick himself up that early Sheen, power farming, the name of the game for this Hecarim, who's going to be hitting that level 6 within a good time.
And also with the early Sheen putting so much damage onto Spirit, Facebreaker is going to get the pullback onto the top laner from Bristol Whip. Meanwhile, on the bottom half of the map, Nuxas has been eating up a fair few of those dark bindings. The thing that I'm most interested in, however, is the fact that we're already seeing a turret plate picked up by Soxy, pushing in, getting all that extra gold you spoke of.
Exactly. I mean, it's not really led to anything in the gold so far, I would imagine. But I mean, it at least is still getting farm onto Nuxas. That was actually really close to a binding again, because the hitbox of a champion is bigger than a minion, so if you stand just behind them, you actually overlap the model and you can kind of hitbox snipe. So Didal very, very close to picking up Vanuxas from behind the minion there.
Very close indeed. First dragon in the game will be a mountain dragon. We've got two junglers, both very capable, starting this sort of thing off. However, it will depend a lot exactly where the priority is. As we can see, Rise finally managing to find that shop, hitting level 6, will have the Realm Warp available to them.
So that's going to be, of course, teleport invested from both of these mid laners. But I mean, this Rise, and much like how Chensang has normally played the game when they've been on Bristol Whip, just happy to sit out the laning phase. They don't need to go fighting. They're very confident in their top side of the map where they do tend to make the plays. But now with that level 6 hit, it's going to be ulting onto the Rise.
There is the ultimate you spoke of, and with heavy dubstep stepping in, Samjay finds his first kill of the game with the Malefic Visions being enough to take down the Rise. Root is going to catch on to Nuxas, who's having a bit of a rough time, has now burnt through all of the potions.
Normally, I'm not too bad with the whole caster curse thing. 2 times in 2 games so far. Top lane is now the name of the game, as Gadunica looking for a fight.
Might there does, I believe, go in favour of Gadunica, who throws down the onslaught of Shadows, trying to get the damage onto heavy dubstep. But with the help from Samjay, this one's been turned around very heavily onto Gadunica, and it was actually heavy dubstep who found the scuttle as well.
He did manage to get that. Where that play could have fallen apart for DMU is that Evan had the shove on top side, and of course has the ult and flash on the side of this Wukong. They are more than ready to start fighting around any area of the map and start following up from this Hecarim diving in alongside them. That's going to be a big part of this game. Bristol Whip have themselves multiple diving champions going into that backside, back line rather of DMU, although they might give them a kick up the backside if they're there. And Bristol Whip looking to really just punish this Tristana and the Malzahar, who, if they are if you close the distance with them, they're really not happy with that state of affairs.
Just a quick question for our lovely production. I don't know if it's possible to see the gold lead stats up on the top. That would be absolutely amazing on our banner, as they are not showing for me currently. I don't know if that's...
It's a new game mode. You know, gold is no longer... We've decided to do away with material affairs. And, you know, materialism is it's a curse of the modern age. We don't need gold.
In which case, I think I might be happier without it. So there we go. Well, let's get a little toggle there. Will it appear? No, not this time. But that's absolutely fine. We're going to turn our attention towards the cycle on top side. Haymaker comes through already. Gadunica coming through to help out. Spirit trying to do what they can. Will throw down the showstopper, but gets killed mid-air by that one sweep from the sheened up Gadunica.
Okay, that was really well calculated by Evan, saying, I can actually just sit here. I don't care if you go into the ult animation for that showstopper. Gadunica with an auto Q, rather, will get the correct amount of damage to take down Spirit. He's now 0 and 2. This set will be sat under turret in those side lanes. For the rest of the game, you got to imagine, as those side lanes against the Rise and the Wukong not looking too healthy for the 46 CS Spirit so far.
Didal catches up Nibble over the wall. Beautiful timing on that. Binding's going to lead to the dragon being started up by DMU. Massive thanks yet again to the lovely Pants, who has got us that gold up, and we do see the 1,000 gold lead that has been gained by Bristol Whip, despite the fact that 3 turret plates are so nearly having been secured by Zox.
There's 1 in the mid lane for Chensang, so that evens things up. 1 in the top lane, it looks like, for the side of Evan. So it's just the +1, actually just nearly 3. So it's actually evened out in turret plates so far, I guess, although you expect that last one to fall for the 3rd plate for Soxy on that bottom side turret. One thing that's actually really interesting is that I think actually I've got the stats right, where Bristol Whips have a low first dragon percent, something like 25%, but their herald is 100%. They get all of the first heralds. That's not really exactly helping out their bot side, where Heavy Dubstep is once again hanging in the wings, and Vanuxax Nibble will just once again be just kind of forced to sit and bear the brunt of this pressure.
Really important moment there as Nibble hits level 6, just as the potential dive was threatened after Didal landed that dark binding, and as you could connects with it just on the edge again. This allows Soxu to get damage down from the explosive charge, so nearly taking away a 4th turret plate. Soxu's gold advantage must be massive right now.
But the danger is you can't really dive the Alistair. You don't want to jump in with that rocket jump.
I don't think they got it.
They did manage to get themselves, whoa, now a fight in mid lane, but I think Samjay's managed to get out.
Yes, Samjay steps the right way, manages to avoid themselves being feared into trouble, and we do see that gold advantage being 300 on the back of turret plating over to DMU in the bot side.
In the bot side at least, but is it enough to really break up in this game? Again, Tristana isn't safe in this game because it's not like you're going to have any more defensive capabilities against the Wukong and the Hecarim coming in at you. Spirit is actually not going to get hit, just going to get another play on the top side, I guess.
Same song, different chorus. This time it goes with Ethan being caught out by the face breaker, and with Samjay here for a little bit of support, turning into a 2v2. Heavy dubstep is roaming down the river, but isn't going to join in time to continue the fight.
So, just much to do about nothing, waiting to see if anything would come to fruition, and it turns out it's just Bristol finding themselves some advantages across these solo lanes to get themselves a number of plates yet again, and this is kind of what we expected, given the identities of these teams, the stats of these teams in Varsity so far. DMU have a dominant bot side, but it is Bristol whipped with the best top lane synergy in the league between Evan and Gadunica, and right now, having that huge CS advantage and the kills involved up there, nothing really has changed on that front. What that does mean is, though, trying to match strength with strength, Tristana and Morgana have gone up towards the top side.
Australia lanes have been completed, doing to try and take as much of their jungle away as they can, but Heavy Dubstep's going to take themselves a couple of little wolves smite away on the big to say a full camp is stolen away. 10 CS advantage almost coming in for that Graves against the Hecarim. Turret plates now starting to be secured in top side.
But they don't have the Herald. They don't have the Herald themselves because Chentang and Gadunica have that. They're going to summon it mid from the looks of it. And there's no ultimate on the Hecarim, so maybe not... Oh, going to go ultimate onto the Rise, in fact.
Yeah, Chentang sticking around a little too long, a little too close to the turret. Manages to take away one as the Cyclone comes in, and it is going to be a kill picked up by Ifan, who dashes forward, finding himself a double. Sorry, only getting one because Gadunica took away the other. But the Herald charges in, takes away first turret, and will get the second charge completed as well. Nothing Didol can do about it.
Monkey on the loose. Wukong 2-0-2. Triforce complete. Teleports into the mid lane. Spirit now into trouble.
Spirit bopping down onto Gadunica, but in comes Efan trying to find himself that second kill I was talking about earlier, and with the clone, gets himself easily into a good range, not able to find the kill, but does force a flash out of Spirit. Every time I see Efan's Wukong popping up, it reminds me of this classic sketch that Rowan Atkinson did where he basically is a gorilla that can speak English, and the classic line is like, oh, he was wild when I found him. It's like, wild? I was positively livid.
And, I mean, Evan is very much popping off, and maybe not got the anger in there. He's had a bit of a cushy early game, nothing to be too angry about from this side of that top laner. That play mid, where you get the kill and get yourself a huge advantage, is one of the kind of plays which can break open games. You take yourself first turret, take yourself more plays, get yourself kills. It also buys a large degree of safety for Benuxas, who's not got the Tristana in their lane anymore. They get themselves the Kraken Slayer off that back, very happy with their point in the game, and Bristol Whip happy with how the map is now balanced.
Not one, not two, but three mythics completed on those last second backs, just that we have just seen. 2 Trinity Forces for top laner and jungler, the Kraken that you just spoke of. Still no mythic in DMU's arsenal just yet, and with a second dragon spawning, Bristol Whip feel like they're the ones who will have the pressure around that objective should they wish to.
Particularly with Tristana on the top side of the map not recalling yet, and of course not having that teleport, that would seem to be the case. Didol walking up, I'm not sure if he wants to be too close, but does have the backup of his team right now.
Gadunica playing with fire, but not getting burned too hard this time round. Speaking of fire, Infernal Dragon is coming up. This is one both of these teams are gonna want.
Exactly. Of course, that means that we won't have Mountain or Infernal for the Rift. Evan needs to be very careful. It's this pick from Fog of War, which DMU have within their composition. If that Morgbind lands, especially on someone important that can't get away from it, like Evan, if they don't have their clone, that can be lights out for this team. Ooh, he's looking for a big engage.
Can join with Realm Up should they want to already. We see the Nevergraph put down onto the Hecarim. Samjay going so very low. He's on Malzahar duty and he's living for now. The same cannot be said for his opposition. Chentang arrives, but arrives too late to say it of 2 members of his team. It's a 2-for-1. Not both the junglers, because Tristana died. It is going to be a jungle and a man advantage over the DMUT1.
If you had one more flash available, flash from Rise, flash from Evan, that fight turns into an absolute stomp for Bristol. That's not the case now. Benuxas has ult. Oh, he doesn't, but he's going on to heavy dubstep.
A nibble goes in. He ends up using the headbutt one way and the pulverize the other, trying to catch onto heavy dubstep and able to pick up the kill right at the end, I believe, with the ignite.
This is what you buy into at this level of play. You have to keep rolling with the punches. You can't show these openings. Heavy dubstep, the next person to really fall prey to that. Before that, it was Gadunica and Evan of Bristol Whipped, and it is keeping this game within sight for DMU, but they are still falling behind in gold.
Meanwhile, that dragon is still around. Didal perhaps staying a little too long, staying safe, however, on the Morgana. For now, Vision's going to be secured by Gadunica. Ifan has gone up to the top side, does not have teleport available. It feels like DMU have got themselves an advantage around this dragon, and with Nibble being caught out by the Dark Binding yet again. This could be danger for Bristol Whip. Nibble trying to get themselves out. Safety does have the Unbreakable Will should they need it. Able to get out, but it is going to be dragon seeded over to DMU.
A little bit of restraint, a lot of discipline from Nibble to make sure that they weren't just blowing it out for nothing or turning around on a fight, which would, of course, been a 4v5. Even though there wasn't a Malzahar ult available, probably would have gone very badly for Bristol Whip. They've traded that dragon for a turret on the top side, and now Samj moving down to the boards, the bottom side, and actually because that turret was so low from Zoxu and Didal just doing so well at pushing in the early game, you'd expect that turret trade to be evened up shortly.
Twitch chat, I doff my imaginary hat to you. Your nibble rhymes have been excellent so far, and he's having a pretty solid game. Deathless so far on the Alistair. Picked up that kill, the ignite that we saw a moment or two ago. This game very, very close, despite the fact that we do see that 4 and a bit thousand gold lead coming in for Bristol Whip.
And well, if we just flip over to those gold leads again, I would imagine that most of it is in that top side. Yeah, it is. That's 3,000 nearly onto the Wukong, and that's effectively a full item at that point. Thank you very much, production. And what this means is that what we've seen before, it's all on this Wukong to make this backline really watch their step, make sure they are shredding on eggshells, because you don't want this Tristana and this Malzahar locking up people and making the fight very broken, taking out someone early into the fight. Bristol want to make sure that the Malzahar is cancelled, much like it was in that bottom lane fight. Want to make sure that Tristana cannot stand and shoot.
Spirit's having a rough time. It might be about to get rougher. Goes to the showstopper to try and buff onto Gadunica to get a bit of safety, but here comes Efan with the Cyclone. Dashing straight into it is going to be Zoxu. That was almost suicidal from the Tristana. Doesn't manage to dash out on the back and get the explosive charge down. Gets the buster shot onto Efan. Gadunica's going to die, as is Efan. It all goes wrong as Bristol Whip go too aggressive in topside, and this could lead to a Herald being picked up by DMUT1.
And our reigning...
Outside the rift, Rise is just like, I'm just going to split push.
But the reason that fight goes wrong is they don't have the Rise. They don't have the Kai'Sa there. They don't have the rank 2 Kai'Sa ult where it can follow up from actually a pretty moderate distance. First rank of the Kai'Sa ult, not really great to fly into side lanes like Bristol Whip were trying to do there. First big part of that play is that Spirit buffers his showstopper to mean that even though Gadunica goes in with the Unstoppable Onslaught, it doesn't CC Spirit. It doesn't make sure he's feared back into Evan. He just keeps flying off with him. CC is ignored. Some distance is kind of created between Evan and then the fight, and also brings Spirit closer towards his the safety of his teammates too. DMU understanding where their players were on the map, and Bristol Whipped being the ones to be caught out this time.
Oh, Twitch chat, stop please, you're killing me. The nipple rhymes get better every time I look across. Speaking of killing things, I honestly thought that Zoxu had met their demise, dashing headfirst into the Cyclone, but able to get both the buster shot that you spoke of and the explosive charge for the rocket jump reset was enough on this Tristana that does now have Kraken Slayer completed. Crucially, however, Spirit is finally getting this recall, which should finally be a mythic item coming in for the top laner.
Should be. It's going to be the Stride Breaker. We expected this. It's the common build coming out of the sets. It allows you to actually reposition very slightly when you're trying to get into position for haymakers and your face breaker, more importantly too, and also the ability to just maybe catch someone out of position like the Rise or the Kai'Sa and get that slow onto them. Of course, less effective as the Rise 2 will often just combo right into you and just get phase rush and run away very, very quickly, but it's extra functionality that sets have used to great effects in the last couple of patches.
I've got breaking news for you, Nightmare. We have got a Newell royalty themselves in Twitch chat. Handsome Strong has returned to the Newell stream. Welcome back, my friend. Multi-time.
I mean, I'm not one for.
I found it.
I'm not one for decorum or etiquette. I don't know how I should be greeting royalty. Should I bow? Is there a certain title I should use? What's the score here, Stan?
I believe it is Sir Handsome Strong of the House of Exeter. So, was it Exeter? I really hope it was Exeter. Now I've said that, but oh my word, yeah, huge fan. Got to spend some time over in Spain with Handsome Strong, and a lovely person as well as an excellent league player. And we're watching some of the same here as well in Bristol Whipped and DMUT1. These two top of the table teams in this clash. 3,000 gold advantage at the moment for Bristol Whipped, but DMU have been pulling back a little bit over the last couple of fights.
have been, and this is such an important game. Is if DMU can take this game off of Bristol, it's so important because they can start leapfrogging them in the standings at that point. Have that head-to-head, knock them down to 5-1 as opposed, which is the current score. Which sorry, 6-1 rather, which DMU will then match after winning that game too. Now we see Bristol Whipped getting into that river, setting up for this next eventual dragon with 40 seconds to spawn on it. I'm gonna have to ask once again. What's going to happen with this pick CC? What's going to happen with these Flash Malzahar ults? We still have only one QSS on the side of Bristol Whipped. Is that going to be enough for them to really be happy in this fight?
Crucial things this time around. FN is both on the right side of the map and does have the teleport available should they want to. So this time it is trouble brewing, a 5v5 potential around this third dragon of the game. It is, of course, the first ocean dragon of the game as we head towards a potential soul for either of these teams.
And we're looking for mid-priority. Nibble angling, jump Hughes, he's going in!
Nibble goes aggressive, the rhymes pay off! Spirit gets a massive haymaker, but it's not enough. Samj finds the ult too late, and it is an absolute routing. Flashing away, heavy dubstep, trying to get himself out to safety. Looks to be the sole survivor of the absolute demolition of his team. The Baron is now on the cards for Bristol Whip.
Call it rhyme, call it poetry, ain't nothing beautiful or flowery about that engage for DMU side of things. Nibble crushing down on 3 members, taking a 4-for-1 fight for Bristol, and of course, as you were saying, that Baron now forfeit for their team.
It is indeed, but of course the dragon is still up and FN is waiting on that side of the rift should heavy dubstep have wandered into danger. Baron goes over to all 5 members of Bristol Whipped on the back of that clean fight they took. FN has started up the dragon, has got Graves potentially collapsing on towards him. Teleport's gonna come through. This is Rise showing their support for the Wukong. Meanwhile, heavy dubstep is going to try and start this dragon up. Onslaught of Shadows is not available for Gadunica when they arrive. They of course do not have flash, but they will have Ghost to get into the fight. I think the dragon is going to go over the DMUT1. This will put them onto Soul Point. The question is, will there be a fight or is it just going to be pure disengage? Didor might have been left for dead here, tries to throw out the Dark Binding, flashes over the wall, finds a Belasco and decides not to take it. Herald gets spawned. I believe that was an accident instead of an Oracle being put used maybe, but either way, the dragon goes over, but most crucially, there's still 5 Baron buffs on Bristol Whipped.
So, DMU get themselves Soul Point. That's something they can play around. But when it comes up to that 4th dragon, they're still probably going to be behind in gold. Probably more so now that there's a Baron power play to work with inside of Bristol Whipped. I wonder actually whether it was a mistake contesting that dragon, because now Bristol Whipped have lost some of that crucial time with this early Baron to push up stuff like top lane, get themselves into that inner turret, get themselves waves across the map pushing in. Of course, they already got that bot lane one. They're going to get something. I'm just wondering if they could have got more from this Baron power play if they hadn't committed towards that dragon.
Is of course now 3 dragons for DMUT1. One more and they get themselves the crucial Infernal. So maybe a route back into the game, but heavy dubstep hasn't got a route back to his base apart from in a body bag. The Graves has dug his own by stepping too far forward there.
And this is something which so many teams I wish would do more. Fight around that rank 2 of that Kai'Sa ult, get that extra range to fly into side lanes, catch out people like the Graves who don't have the ability to really stop that kind of play coming through. Bristol Whip get themselves a kill, and now there's no Graves to stymie this push from Bristol Whip.
FN Split pushing down the bottom half of the map. The remaining 4 members of Bristol Whip taking down the first inhibitor turret of the game. 22 minutes in, things looking very, very good for the team that were the champions last spring. Here in this current spring split, they want to remain undefeated. They want to go to 7-0, and right now it looks like they might.
They might just, and at the end of the day, there still is only one Black Shield, and Morgan is using it on themselves.
Oh, massive stopwatch from Didor as they find the multi-man ult, but there's just no damage coming in, and FN finds themselves another kill. Haymaker on the back, takes 3 members lower. Spirit managed to find himself a kill, but eventually it is going to be Benuxas with the kill, able to find the damage. Chen trying to trade back, trying to get another one down, but it is eventually going to be Soksu who finds the rocket jump to shut down the Bristol Whipped mid laner. Samj lives, Chen Tang dies. At the end of it all, it is a 4-for-3 in favor of DMU.
Serious props to both Didor and Spirit for that fight from DMU. Did have that huge Morgul using the Black Shield on themselves. Okay, means you don't have it for your carries, but it means that so many people are locked up under turret. Spirit gets something like a 4 or 5, I think it was a 4-man Facebreaker into Haymaker, just shredding the team. And now you have to imagine what would have happened if they were slightly more into this game, not at 1 and 4, not having this lacking amount of gold put into their champion. It could have made that fight even better for them. The good thing is now, though, it stopped that that Baron power play, and they're still not out of the game, even though the 6k is very daunting for them.
The crucial summoner's not available for another 30 seconds or so, and they were obviously missing in that last fight. We saw Bristol Whip winning fights before and using those crucial abilities, those summoners especially. They weren't there. We didn't see the flash available from Chen Tang, didn't see it available for Efan either. The gold lead is still massive. There is still a huge advantage to the team who have got that inhibitor down in the mid lane, Bristol Whipped. However, DMU yet again keeping their chances well and truly alive in this game. 1 minute 40 until the Ocean Dragon spawns. That would be solved for DMU if they were to secure it.
It would be, and that's why I wonder whether Bristol Whip should really start trying to crush DMU in this 1-3-1 right now. The Wukong is so strong, and we just saw what Chen Tang can do in these grouped up fights. If you get that essence, that spell flux across your team, yeah, that's normally very bad news. So Rise, I think, probably did about 2 to 4,000 damage in that fight, and now Efan is going to start going on into Spirit set.
I've seen this fight before, and it doesn't usually end that well for the boss. Sasha Banks trying to get under the turret, flashes away on the back of Efan's aggression.
That's really important. No flash for a flash so showstopper or face breaker. It's a playmaking tool away from Spirit, and the ult of this Wukong is probably going to be up when the fights are looking to be put into, but Evan stayed too long.
He has Spirit looking for the aggression, finds the Haymaker, doesn't get a massive shield from it, but does have the showstopper available. Spirit's going to live. Evan's going to die on the bottom half of the map. However, the push comes in from the remaining 4 members of Bristol Whip. They find themselves a turret. They do not push too far. They know what happened last time. They made that mistake, and they want to be alive in 40 seconds time as this crucial dragon comes up.
So Evan is still going to be up for that dragon fight. That's important, but DMU just gave over control of the bottom half of this map and the crux of this game, which might just be this soul dragon spawning as DMU sat on 3 heading towards their 4th.
But look at the timers. Look at the timers, Alex. 17 seconds on FM being live with teleport. Exactly the same amount of time until this dragon spawns. This will just be a straight out 5v5 again.
It will be. Gadunica is way pushed up in the bot lane, trying to push up towards that inhibitor. They already took the mid one for threatening towards that bot. They're forcing DMU's hand. Will they go for the soul? Will they have to return to base?
They are absolutely going for this fight. You can see the pincer coming in. FM's already teleported. The dragon is super low. It's been burned down and soul's been secured. Now in comes the fight. However, this could be the game-winning fight if Bristol Whip are able to take enough of it. Looking for the kill on the Soksu. Efan does massive damage. Efan is going to find the kill onto the Tristana Spirit, alive in the dragon pit, but not for much longer. Double kill for Bernaxas. A 3-4-0.
Teleport to bot lane.
Straight to the inhibitor turret. The Dark Binding will cancel the teleport. Potentially crucial, but it delays the recall on the Morgana. Graves is left alone to defend against the on-rushing Bristol Whip.
And the heavy dubstep still has a decent amount of damage, has the Lord Dominates Regards. This might be enough to just save the game of single Morgana Q between life and death at this point in the game, or has it just delayed the inevitable?
15-second death timers. Inhibitor number 2 is down. The Nexus turrets are under threat. Morgana and Graves doing everything they possibly can to keep this game alive for DMUT1. The first Nexus turret will fall, but Bristol Whipped step away.
They step away, they blink first, they realize, okay, there's a Trist coming up, there's a Malzahar with Flash available too, and we just use our QSS onto our Rise, and the Alistar ult is not yet available. That Malzahar ult could spell death, and that could spell a Baron play coming in from DMU after that point. So they wisely step away. They still have themselves a massive gold advantage, though they will now be playing against the Ocean Soul. The question is that enough for DMU? I'm wondering with the amount of damage available on Bristol Whipped if it will be.
Honestly, probably not, but the very fact they've been able to get things like that mean that now that they're alive in 5v5 situations, yes, they're having to defend 2 down inhibitors as 1 respawns as I say it, they are still in with a chance of taking these fights. They've shown it a couple of times now. Also, big shout out to the person who said Caster's voices are soothing just before I started screaming at my microphone.
We're not having ourselves an ASMR cast today. It's too much on the line, too much for these teams, too much for ourselves watching them. This could very well be a finals matchup this split. Of course, we've got teams all the way stacked up at that 4-1 scoreboard. We have literally 6th through 2nd stacked up on that 4-1. That is why this is so important. DMU want to keep pace with the rest of those teams, keep themselves up in those standings. You know what? This is what happens. I say we're not going to do something, and Stan takes that as a challenge, just like Bristol Whip is challenging this Baron.
Here we go. Bristol Whip going to start this one up. They've got all 5 members present around the Baron pit. Malzahar down on the bottom half of the map. Does have teleport should they want to join this one, but the Baron's already down to half health. Control ward's not available for DMU. They are going to lose this.
Black
Baron.
Shield
Goes over the wall.
He's got it.
Comes in DMU T1 go huge. Dubstep is going to die, but takes away the crucial objective. The question is, what will happen in the fight that ensues? Gadunica finds a massive bit of damage, but the Buster Shot comes through. Soxu goes defensive, trying to stay alive to make sure the game is going to be intact. Didal, however, will not be intact. 5 people still still alive for Bristol Whip. Only 2, potentially 3 remain for DMU. They've got the Ocean Soul. They're going to get a little bit of health back, but they're going to lose their inhibitor for the second time. They may well lose their final Nexus turret. They may well lose the game.
They might do, but Bristol is still half HP. The big decider of this is, of course, DMU don't have their ultimates available. Bristol Whip say that and think, all right, okay, let's not go towards this mid wave. Go towards top instead. Make sure that we have ourselves a wave to actually fight with. But the game goes on after some heroics from Heavy Dubstep, backed up by, of course, that game-saving Black Shield Didal. 1 Q stopping that teleport into the base. 1 Black Shield allowing that steal to happen is keeping DMU in this game.
Everybody out there on twitch.tv/TheNull, are you not entertained? For the second time tonight, we go past 30 minutes. For the second time tonight, we have an absolute stormer of a game.
You know, when you say that, it sounds like some rock frontman, someone like Bruce Dickinson saying, "Scream for me, twitch.tv/TheNull." It just doesn't have the same ring to it. You know what? We'll try again. We'll workshop it.
I once went to a gig. It was a fantastic musician called Newton Faulkner, and bear in mind this is one guy with a guitar. He managed to get everybody bouncing in the audience. It was great. He was like,
one guy
"They should be bouncing," and everyone's just like up and down to like acoustic music. It was brilliant. But anyway, moving back to the matter at hand, you might as well be out in the streets. You might as well be applauding these two teams, because Bristol Whipped and DMU are defending champions, as Spring Split champions gone by. They are putting on an absolute storming show for us. What an absolutely great game! I can't stop saying it. I just really like it when we have games like this, Alex.
Exactly, and the thing is, like, last game was also pretty close coming down to those late game objectives. We still almost have a kill a minute, all things said and done. I know we said maybe a bit more reserved. That's not what's happened. Both of these teams are really being proactive, and that's something I love, because when you are headed onto further competition, whether these players going into different teams outside the university scene, going higher into the university scene, something like UEM, you need to have practice versus this caliber of opponents, because iron sharpens iron. Knives are out in this game, looking to plunge it into the heart of this game.
Knives out indeed. That's another film I watched during lockdown, actually. Interesting. So another dragon is spawning. This time, the second game in a row, we're going to potentially get to see an Elder buff going to one of these two teams. Of course, 4 dragons so far have been secured by DMU T1. Remember, of course, Heavy Dubstep has already stolen a Baron today. Didal playing with fire, a little bit getting caught out. Ifan standing still and taking explosive shots to their head, with Soxu calling their bluff.
Calling their bluff, because that's what was happening there. Was Evan was looking to see if there was a chance for a flash cyclone. The Black Shield was down, now it's back up again, and Evan getting at least the clone taken down on that one is still sat at half HP and might get ulted here. Oh, so dangerous. The distances are very, very close between living and dying.
And the thing is, at this point, even though we're looking at 9 turrets to like 3 or something like that, if one fight goes in favor of DMU massively, they could just take the game. If they take this soul and this Elder buff and then wipe the opposition, it could be game.
Look how low teleport's coming in.
The Elder is. That's going to be Nibble getting completely caught out, getting bot by Spirit with the showstopper. But Noxas gets exploded with the jump from Tristana. 2 for nothing. The dragon going lower and lower. Heavy Dubstep staying alive, trying to get a bit of life still. The Ocean Soul will help him out as well. And with only 1 jungler present, it looks like the Elder buff. He's going to DMU T1. Here comes Gadunica gets caught out by Samjay. In fact, he's trying to do something on the other side of the map. Spirit's chasing him down. He doesn't care anymore. He knows the type of his fight has gone against him, and he wants to take his rival down. Ethan flashing away from the Haymaker. Might be able to find the damage onto the set. The question is, what can he do with this minion wave as we see the bot lane pushing in so aggressively from DMU T1?
This could be a base race. They've got an inhibitor down in this bot side, but this Wukong destroys towers.
So low. Ethan doing what they can to take this one away. Samjay and Didal both there to stop them. Suppression comes in. Immediately QSS. Ethan trying to get out to safety. Will stop in place, trying to kill off Didal. Trying to buy a little bit of time for the rest of the team. The rest of the recalls will come through. And Ethan's dead.
Heroics from this Wukong, though, dies for the attempt, but calls back the remaining members of DMU. They don't even lose an inhibitor on bot side. They take down the remaining Nexus turret. That gives Bristol Whips a chance after throwing so hard at the Elder Dragon. They engage too soon. Nibble goes for the combo without Evan being there at the fight, still halfway through his teleport animation. And then you see what happens if the backline are not disrupted from De Montfort's team. They absolutely shred the health bars of the Bristol Whips, and they can absolutely win this game. The gold lead is insignificant. They are in it to win it.
Nightmare, I've got 2 words for you. Exposed Nexus.
And that could be the story of the game. At the end of this, if it comes down to a backdoor, that's the way it is. Bristol Whips have set that up for success. They do have a teleport onto the Rise, who, of course, with the extra amount of AP and Magic Pen, can take down structures pretty quickly. But it really has to be this Wukong who's going to be going for that backdoor attempt. And they don't have the teleport right now.
And the inhibitor has respawned. Chentag does have the teleport, but there's no ward to go to. An inhibitor turret has now fallen. DMU crushing back down. This is eerily reminiscent of Game 1 tonight between Lincoln Ascendant and ESSKT. Now it's going to be the Nexus turrets for Bristol Whip that are coming under fire. DMU looking to push forward. The Baron has now respawned. There is still Elder buff on Soxu, and one Nexus turret has already been shredded through. The second one's going to go down as well. Bristol Whip have to fight, and they have to fight now. That's going to be big damage coming onto F, and Soxu's going untouched. The Nexus turret is still alive.
The combo!
Crashing away, but Nux has managed to find one as he gets the shutdown. Nibble chasing down on the heavy dubstep RMX. Didal trying to do what he can to support, but it's mid laner and support versus jungler and support, and the mid laner's coming up trumps. Didal now trying to run away from Nibble. There's been a routing in the
teleport. He's going for it. He's going for it.
He's going to try and push in. There is, of course, still an inhibitor to get through, but there are 50-second death timers. Didal is being stopped in his recall by Nibble. He's trying to find the recall now. I think he's going to get there, but will he be able to stop the Rise alone?
It's going to send the advantage. He stops him with the headbutt.
Oh my gosh, this is the game! The inhibitor's about to go! There are 20-second death timers! The recall will finally come in, but Chentang looks like he's done enough! The Nexus is going down! One auto by auto! Chentang might be about to pick up the win! Didal's trying to play hero! Chentang's got the first hit! He's got the kill! There's 5 seconds left until people respawn! The Nexus is going down, but going down so slowly! So Chentang is gonna get the win! Surely! One more auto! He steps away! It doesn't matter! It's game Bristol Whip!
What absolute end-to-end, by the damn definition of it, business in this game. The closest of margins at the top of the table. We told you there were, what, 5 teams tied between 6th and 2nd? This was between one of those teams and the undefeated team. But how bloody close did that get?
My poor heart cannot take any of that. What a game! What a game! If you thought Game 1 was close, if you thought Game 1 was good, Game 2 might have just trumped it. My neighbours are going to kill me. I don't freaking care. That was the one. That was the game.
I know my lovely partner is through in the other room, and I know they occasionally check in on the stream, but I don't think, actually, they need to know what happened on the stream anymore, because they just had, like, an absolute play-by-play from my screams.
Wow. Oh, I'm taking a breath. Like, I know I'm live right now. I'm taking a breath. I need a breath.
7-0, Bristol Whipped, end out, week 3, undefeated. But the thing is though, like, obviously so many of the games have now been off air, and I'm just like, sat there, I'm like, oh my gosh, how have they been driven to that before? Because that is maybe the closest game I've ever seen. That was half a second away, because I actually don't think he had, I don't actually think he had QSS up at that point.
I think that could OMG the classic. It was like that.
Yeah, it was like that, absolutely. But it's one of the absolute, it's the closest I've ever cast. Because literally, I mean, I don't think he had the QSS. I think Malzahar did have ult. That, in fact, I think the auto was mid-flight as the ultimate came through. Half a second later, that auto doesn't come through. He dies in the duration of that. There's a huge amount of damage on the Malzahar in the point of the game. That is, by definition, the very closest you can get. That's half a second, a couple of hundred HP away from a different result. Absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd.
And there are so many things, like, we literally can't break down everything that happened in that last minute. Crucial moments, however, Soxu getting deleted by Benuxas as Benuxas themselves exploded. And after that moment, the fight started to go over to Bristol Whip, but they were taking each other out one by one. Nibble landing the dark binding, Nibble landing the headbutt pulverize at the split second that Nibble's recall, stop saying Nibble, the Didal's recall was completing. that stop them being there for longer to potentially stop even further the Rise in their tracks. Perhaps only Rise gets an inhib and doesn't even bother pushing forward if the Morgana's there for longer, is able to heal up a little bit more. Instead, they're not able to heal for long. They have to go straight in and they get deleted. So many fine margins, such an incredible game. Twitch chat, I have one request of you. Like, as soon as this VOD is uploaded, go clip your favorite bits of this game. Please post them on Twitter. Please tag at GreyHawk99, at Nymera, at the Null. Please, I want to see this all over my timeline because I want to be able to retweet these. It's been such an incredible game, such an incredible night of League of Legends. I mean, what do you say after that?
I say, like, we're going to look at the clip, and it's going to be that one bit from The Sims. Like, look, if you pause it at this frame, you can see the exact moment their vocal cords break. That's what I've got to say. Some damn good League of Legends. Some damn fine League of Legends. Glad to have seen it.
8 casts in 5 days I'm doing, and that is how I started. God, I'm going to die. So, thank you so much to everyone who's watched. Oh, quickly, MVP for that game. Damn, that's a hard question.
Oh, that is ridiculously difficult. I think it actually has to go to Nibble. I think that game, I think it genuinely does, because I look at what happened in that top side, and Evan did have that early lead, but then struggled to make things stick. Alistair had 3, 4, 5 game-saving plays. Everyone did. It's between them and Chentang, and Chentang was definitely close runner-up for that. But I don't know, maybe Twitch chat just has ended up doing the whole Inception thing and like putting that idea into my head. But you know what? Congrats, Twitch chat. You got your MVP.
I agree with you for 3 reasons. Reason 1. Rhymes, amazing. Reason 2, the fantastic flash pulverize onto I think 3 in mid lane, which was one of the big fights that really turned things massively in Bristol. Yeah. Like Bristol Whip were already ahead, but it put them so far in the driving seat. I thought they were going to win on the back of it almost. Reason number 3, that cancellation of the Morgana recall at the end. I'm going to completely agree with you. A terrific game. Thank you so much to every single one of you who has been watching today. To our fantastic sponsors, who I apologize for not shouting out sooner, to Unite Students, to Twitch Student, and to Logitech as well. We massively appreciate you as our partners this year, this split. Nymera, massive thank you. Always a pleasure to cast with you. To our fantastic production Patrick, go follow him on Prod Patrick on Twitter. Follow all of our various socials for the Null. Make sure you're back next week where Brackish Brit and Melvinism will be back. I can't promise you their 2 games will be as good as ours were tonight, but I can promise you the casting will be on point.
Absolutely. I don't know, man. I mean, if this is what it's like to have these fight-offs between the top teams, honestly, anything can happen. From this point onwards, I'm looking at all these games and thinking any one of these could be just as exciting as those. And that's both terrifying and wonderful. Long live University Esports.
Can't say it better than that. That's what you get here at the Null. Tune in soon for more of that action. Big love to all of you. Good night.